Good morning. Welcome to Impact. I'm Russell Thomas, and I am pleased to be joined in the studio today by Danny Tulk, the vice principal at Composite Highschool. Going to be principal in the fall. Ooh. Local musician, historian. I don't know what else he is. Astronaut?
I could be. I don't know. I haven't told him out of this world. I'm
Danny and I met, and I remember it like it was yesterday. There was an event going on at Some Other Solutions, and you were playing music up on the lawn.
Yeah.
And that was the very first time that I met you.
In 2014?
I think it was 2014. I had just started at the United Way. And how long before that had you come to town, the fact that we at that point had not met?
I guess I got to town in 2008. And I guess we never crossed paths. I didn't really, but you know what? I kind of focused primarily on teaching until about 2010. And that's when I got into the music industry and kind of getting myself more out into the community.
Yeah.
I think I had known of you. Like we had known each other. We had been at functions prior to that. But I think it was our first time we actually met formally, I guess.
Yeah, and shortly after that, we ended up doing an interview, which was lovely, in the studio, in Birdsong Studio. Yeah. You played, I painted, and we talked. Yeah. And it formed part of the column that was in YMM Magazine.
Yeah, that was a great interview. I had a great time, and there's such a good energy in your studio there.
Yeah, I've told the story of that because I was painting, I believe, one of the young gentlemen that were killed in the last shooting at the time. And your music influenced the painting a lot. In fact, it influenced the entire series.
Wow.
In a huge way. And so thank you for that.
Well, thank you. That actually gave me shivers just now. I'm not joking. This is not radio magic. Thank you. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I recently, you touch on that. I recently had a former student call me yesterday, and names will, of course, stay out, and talked about how... and I had got along with the student. We had been friends, and we had coffees after he left school. And he called me and he said, you don't know the impact you have on someone's life. You don't know how little interactions, little smiles, the way you talk to somebody can really influence them years down the road. And I said, well, because I remember getting the Facebook message. I said, this is an odd time to call me. And he said, well, I just felt I needed to say hello. There's nothing pressing going on. I just figured I didn't want to lose that connection. And that really kind of resonated with me as a teacher and as a member of this community, that you don't know the people you're going to talk to. You don't know how your little interactions, your cups of coffee, your smiling, your little interactions, that meeting on the SOS lawn is going to impact someone, and how they may reflect on that later, and how that may resonate in their life. So it was a really cool experience.
So does this mean you're starting to get a sense about the profession of teaching? Because I think that maybe early in your career, it's hard to understand the importance of your job. But you're starting to get a sense of it now.
Yeah, so I've been 10 years as a teacher now in the district, in the city. And I think you're right. In your first couple of years, you're really focused on the students in front of you. And that's your focus, because you haven't seen them grow yet. But now when I look at, my dentist in town was a former student. I went to the grand opening of a restaurant here in town last night, and the head chef came out. One of the sous chefs came out and said, "Hey, remember me?" It's like, yeah, I remember you. He's like, yeah, I'm a cook now. And I said, that's awesome. And they see you, and they're so excited to tell you their story. So it's not until, 5, 6, 10 years down the road, and I assume 20, 30, infinitum, you will see these people and how you influence their lives and how their lives have evolved, and how your interactions as a teacher, as a member of the community, as a parent, can really kind of sway that and really have impact in their growth. And I love it, and it's fantastic, and it's so rewarding. I mean, you hear teachers calling you hear as much like you hear a lot of professions, and it's amazing to see your impact and how you can influence children. I think that's the greatest part of it. I mean, I love teaching now, but I love when I go to the dentist, and the joke was, she said, "Oh, hey, Mr. Tulk," and I said, "Hello, doctor." And I said, "Was I a good teacher?" She goes, "You'll find out if it hurts or not."
Oh, I love it. Of course, you were at Westwood for a period of years.
Yeah,
10
years,
you made the move to Composite High School this year?
This year's my first year at Composite High School.
Talk about that. What was that like?
Well, it was a big change. I was at Westwood for 10 years. Westwood's a great school. I had come there right out of university, so I got my first teaching contract there. I moved there from teacher to counselor to vice principal. I had seen so many students grow there. And then when the opportunity came to move to Composite High School, I was excited. I was maybe some trepidation because it is a change. But of course, there's so many great things going on here at Composite High School. We can see the modernization, the rebuilding, and the idea that it was a place where I could kind of have that impact again. I could kind of move out and grow. I had built the guitar program at Westwood previously with Mr. Eddie, who I know I have to give a shout out because I know this community, all the musicians in town relate to Mike Eddie. And I had seen so many great things there. And I thought I could kind of bring that energy here. Comp has a great energy anyways, but I figured, okay, this is a good time, a good path in my career for me to kind of challenge myself. And it's been amazing. I won't lie, you get used to a new school, new culture, new staff. And it took a little while to find my way around. But now, I look at these kids, and now I see the kids in the hallway, and now they're so excited to see you. And, oh, sir, you're coming to grad. Oh, this is fantastic. And, kids are kids, and I'm really loving this school. I'm loving the energy. I'm loving the growth. One thing I'm loving is the junior highs, because Westwood was, of course, 10, 11, 12. And now I get to deal with the younger kids. So now I got 6 years to kind of influence them, and we'll see how that turns out. But it's been a fantastic, crazy year. And now, of course, I'm going to be principal next year, which is a cool step in my career. Not when I didn't necessarily see it coming initially, but life seems to have that way where you can't really control how it's going to flow sometimes.
What's the essential difference between being a teacher and being an administrator?
Paperwork. If I'm going to be honest, it's paperwork.
Yeah.
They're the same jobs. You just, as a teacher, you focus on your kids in your room, and as an administrator, you focus on the kids in your school. The goal is the same. Give the kids the best education you possibly can, grow the kids, help the kids become the most they can, reach their potential. And you also got to look at helping staff reach their potential. So it's just a wider focus. But in my experience, teachers always have that focus anyways. Teachers don't tend to be that focused on their classroom. They look at their classroom, but they're always thinking about the greater good. I don't think there's any teacher in the world that would refer to just the kids in their class as their pupils. We look at the entire student body as our kids, right?
A couple of years ago, I facilitated a deep dive conversation with Composite High School teachers, administrators, trustees about the brand of Comp. And how do you think that is going? Because I feel, because I have a son that goes to Comp myself, that it is shifting significantly.
Yeah, I think so as well. We make no qualms. Composite High School did have a perception in previous years. I won't go as far as call it a stigma, but there was certainly a perception of Composite High School. Not just in any way. The kids here are fantastic. Kids here do amazing things. Right now, my phone is actually vibrating off my leg because our kids are at the city track meet, and they're sending me pictures of all their awards and what they're doing so I can post on social media. So it is moving in a great direction. So with the rebuilding of the school, they did do a public query or a public question is if we should change the name of the school. And the response was intense and overwhelming.
Impassioned, yeah.
Impassioned to keep the name. We came to realize very quickly that Composite High School is not just a school in the city. It is part of Fort McMurray's history. It is the oldest high school in the city. And the people who have been residents here, the people who have now chose to make Fort McMurray their home for their entire lives, have a reverence for this school. And that their passion is certainly overflowing, and the community really supports this school. And so we're moving in the right direction, and it's fantastic to see that energy, see that positivity from the staff, the students, the community, and I'm just overwhelmed by how amazing it is. When we had our talent show last week, which of course your son performed in, and he did quite well. He won one of the awards. I remember looking out, and the whole student body and the whole staff body was there. And I came in on my days off. I had actually taken a vacation day. And I said, well, I want to go in to see this. And they said, well, if you're coming in, can you set up all your band stuff, like the stuff you would use at your shows? I said, absolutely, I can. And I was doing sound and watching these kids come on stage. And the kids were glowing. And then when I looked up, because I was focusing on the performer, I looked up and I saw the 400 kids and 40 staff all cheering and waving their hands and the cell phones in the air. And no matter what act was on stage, they cheered and they really got behind it. I was like, this is school spirit. If you could personify, if you could encapsulate that moment of school spirit, that was it. No other, it was a high school movie moment where I felt chills, I teared up, and I was just overwhelmed by how these kids kind of came together.
I love it. What has your influence, do you feel, been on the music culture at Composite High School?
That's a good question. I'm going to toot my own horn here. That was a pun intended.
I can toot it for you.
There we go. So, I mean, music, I think personally, and you guys, everybody knows I'm a musician, is key to development, and it's something that's so integral in my life. And when I came here, I think the district also thought that it was time to bring that here, because Westwood had a very thriving music program, and it was time to kind of help grow that at this side of the city. We're very lucky to have the Bridge and the district studio kind of move in and build that so we can bring the community in for recording. But also when I got here, I was able to get a grant to buy some guitars, because there hadn't been a music program here for a couple of years. And so I was able to get that grant, and initially it was just 28 guitars, so I started a guitar class, which went so good. We had 40 kids in the grade 9, the junior highs, and then 20 kids in the high school, all playing guitar at all levels. Some, had never seen instrument, some were actually quite proficient. But then after the first semester, because we were a smaller school, that class had finished. Well, I didn't like that. I thought, music shouldn't end. Music should not be semesterized. So thanks to our parent council and some money we got post-wildfire, we were able to go to Campbell's Music and buy some electric guitars, some drums, some bass guitars, some microphones, and set up our own little studio. And that way students could kind of still use it. So now we do lunchtime programs, after-school programs. And initially it was supposed to be 2 days a week. One lunchtime for beginner students and one after school for advanced students. Then I noticed kids come into my office, say, "Hey, sir, can you open the room?" Absolutely. And I'd walk in, and I saw one student, a name will be unmentioned, but you're very close to this young man, teaching another student how to play guitar at lunch. I said, "This is great. This is music. This is music prospering." And I had another group of students who came to us and said, "Listen, we're a little nervous around other male students. We're just a bunch of females. Can we have our own class?" Absolutely. So now I have advanced classes, I have female-specific classes, and then I had a staff class after school. So it went from having these one little pockets to just growing exponentially. And so in the talent show, we had a new kid who was a drummer. Just saw the drums first time. We had a new kid who played guitar, had just learned for the first time. And I'm like, these are the future musicians. Because right now, as you know, I play music in the city. And because I've been here 10 years, now I'm booking bands, and I'm seeing bands where I taught them. So I was the other day, I was sitting and someone said, "Oh, that band's great." I said, "I taught the guitar player, I taught the bass player, I taught the other guitar player. This is fantastic." And they're growing, and it's amazing.
Our guest this morning on Impact, Danny Tulk, who's the vice principal at Composite High School, a very busy and respected musician in the community. We're going to take a break and come back with more of Impact right after this. Welcome back to the show, talking with Danny Tulk this morning. Man, hearing that fire band commercial, did you see the water bombers circling last week?
I did, yeah.
Ooh, my pulse was going,
yeah.
Woohoo. I was up on the roof cleaning my eaves trough, just in case.
I got a case of water, my wife gassed up the car. You still, it's a reaction now, right?
Yeah,
it's going to take a few years for that to go
is.
away, certainly.
Well, exciting that you are moving into the principalship.
Oh.
That's a big word.
I'm going to tighten my tie. You can't see it on the radio, but I'm going to tighten my tie now.
This coming fall, of course, taking over from Kevin Bergen, who's moving on to become district principal. And
district principal, yeah.
Big part of your life, but music's a big part of your life. And I want to share, I don't know if you saw it this morning, but a tweet came out from Nolan, and I'm just going to read it because I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Nolan said, Danny will likely undersell it, but there is not one person more responsible for the current strength of the Fort McMurray music scene. He is welcoming, supportive, and always open to new ideas. He's really a fantastic mentor for both young and elder statesmen alike.
Wow.
What a wonderful thing.
Thank you, Nolan. Wow.
Wow. What does that mean to hear that?
That's, wow. Now I know why we do this live. Wow, that's interesting. I certainly like to think I'm part of the music scene. We have so many great people promoting music in this city, and I had this conversation at a venue this weekend where a gentleman who left and moved home to the East Coast, who's a fantastic musician, Mitch Jukes, I'll just say his name because he's actually incredible. He's an incredible person, and he came back and he said, I'm in my East Coast city, and he said, it doesn't have the same music vibe as Fort McMurray. There's not as many musicians, and they're more combative and they're more competitive. And I thought, that is the antithesis of what Fort McMurray is. We are a culture that grows and helps people, and I think I've been part of that. And I think through my tertiary role as a music booking agent for a couple places in town, which I do strictly out of. So it came quite organically. Someone called me and said, "Hey, can you play a gig?" And as anybody knows, I'm quite busy. I said, "No, I'm sorry, I can't." And they said, "Well, okay." And I said, "Well, don't hang up. There's other great musicians in the city. Would you like me to call them?" Because I figured, why just let them go? Why can't I just be a conduit and get someone else in there?
Yeah.
For not any financial gain or any reason, but I just said, I can grow the scene. And then spiraled to people call me and say, "Hey, do you know anybody that can play here?" I do know someone. That's not my style of music, but I got the person for you. And then eventually a couple of venues said, "Hey, could we just kind of take you on and do this for us?" I said, "Absolutely." So we started arranging things like songwriter nights and indie showcase nights and punk nights, because music is not just what I do. I do an acoustic East Coast rock kind of thing, but there's so many other genres out there. There's blues and there's punk, and there's people who want to hear that. So I figured, let's bring those people in. And so someone has said to me, "Thank you for helping me get started." I said, "No, I just literally was one entrance point for you. You would get started without me. I just happened to make it a little easier." I appreciate Nolan saying those wonderful things. And
here's a question.
Yeah.
20 years ago, I was kind of like you. I wasn't a musician, but very involved in the scene and providing people stages and that kind of thing. And we had bands at the time that you won't know, but I'm thinking of Seven Cents and Ren Slip and
Jay Chin's band. Yeah, Jay's in the drummer of my band right now.
These are some amazing young people that were doing some really, really cool things. What are you seeing from the young generation that, in terms of maybe, I don't know if I want you to be specific, but if you can, fantastic. Who do you see of the younger variety that we should be watching out for?
Okay, well, I could be completely upfront with this. Right now, there's a great performer named Kristen, who I taught at Westwood, and she is currently in multiple bands singing a little harder style music than I sing, but she's everywhere. She's coming up to be, the next big player in Fort McMurray. There's guys like Andrew Potty, who are a little older than, they're in their 20s, but they're coming up and they're doing the same thing I'm doing. That's why when Nolan says I love it, but I can't take full credit for it, because guys like Andrew, guys like Jeremy Rice, guys like Kristen, guys like Zach Edwards are out there and they're playing. There's bands like Oleron. I'm going to say those wrong. They have these names. Oleron. A bunch of local bands that are just doing amazing things. Zero Loss is another great local band, and they're everywhere. They're playing for fun. They're playing for enjoyment, and they want to bring it to the community. I had one of the local bands, a band in All Hope, reach out to me this week and said, "Hey, can we do a free show at your school?" And that was only yesterday, so I haven't actually had a chance to do it. But they want to get out there. They want to grow in the town. And then we see these young bands, I should say. Previously known as the Veins. I think they've changed their name now.
They have changed their name, yeah.
Yeah. And so I booked, they called me and they said, "Hey, we're back from college. Can we do a show?" Absolutely. So the first day they got back, I had them booked for a show. Just Francesco, just the front man. And now we're booking them for acts. So, the music scene in Fort Mac is alive and well. The old guard is still busy. I consider myself the old guard now, I guess. And then there's these new people that are coming up. And I feel very confident that when my time to step away from music is going to come, these people will easily take over the mantle, and it's going to be amazing and for generations to come.
Well, this is a natural circle back. So the district studio is under construction. Mm-hmm. It's pretty incredible. It's but what, from your view, is that studio, that facility going to mean to the music scene in Fort McMurray?
Okay, so that studio, I don't know if you guys understand. I say you guys, hello, radio audience. I don't know if you guys understand the scope of the studio. Studios have become portable and a PC or a Mac with a microphone, and that's what people do stuff on. Then they aspire to a professional studio. This studio, this space at Composite High School, in partnership with the Bridge and the District Studio, is that professional studio. My album I did in Nashville in a professional studio, that studio does not rival this studio.
Wow.
This studio is going to be top of the line. This is going to give an opportunity for world-class recording for students, for adults, for the community. This is not a fly-by-night operation. This thing is going to be amazing. And if we can get that going, as we know, and as the Bridge wants, and as the district wants, and as Composite and FMPSD wants, we'll see the community in here recording, putting out albums, putting out compilations, that it will be on par with anything in the world. So if you can think, you're in northern Alberta, and a kid says, "Hey, I want to do an album." You don't have to go to Toronto. You don't have to go to Vancouver. You can come to Composite High School, the district studio, and have the same, if not better, quality recording. It's amazing. It is. I can't even begin to speak to how revolutionary this is going to be for the city.
I was painting at the Time Raiser, and off in the distance, at the opposite end of the hall, was the stage. And there was a young lady. I don't know if it's the lady that you named, but she does stuff with the district. I was blown away. I'd have bought her album immediately. And all of a sudden, we'll have the facility to do that here in the community.
To create it, yes, exactly. And it's an open facility. I mean, you can book through the district studio. Do I have a cough button? No cough button. So yeah, it's going to be great. And there is so much talent here. This town, you know, I think it's such an eclectic town. It attracts people from all over the world, Canada, and then the greater world. So we're not just a regional sound. I mean, Newfoundland has every sound. When I grew up in Newfoundland, but there's a very specific sound that is prominent in Newfoundland. Fort McMurray doesn't have that one sound because it is literally a connection, a
nexus.
A nexus of sounds of music.
Yeah. And
people come and bring their ideas here. You know, the bass player that jams at the taverns from Israel, and he has this cool sound. And I need this guy, and he said, well, I'm from Costa Rica, and I have the Spanish sound. And it's just absolutely amazing to see. Fort Mac. I think Fort Mac's the hidden gem. I think it's going to be the new Seattle for those 90s fans out there.
Love it.
Yeah.
Danny Tulk is my guest, a musician, vice principal at Composite High School, and really a champion of the arts here in the community. We're going to take another break. You're listening to Impact. It is a team effort of United Way, Fuse Social, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray. We've got Matt here doing some filming along with a lovely helper today. And we also get great support from 91.1 The Bridge and YMM Magazine. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back. Our guest this morning is Danny Tulk. Danny is the vice principal at Composite High School right here on King Street, right next door to where we are at the very second. Yeah. Also going to be the principal of the school coming up this fall, having a great conversation. And I was saying off the air that I'm pretty aware of the district recording studio. I've been in it. I've had Rick give me a little tour. But when you contextualized the importance of it and why it is something to be celebrated, man, it provides me a completely different story to tell.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's a fantastic place, and I think it's going to be here for a long time. And I know it's housed in Composite High School, and it's a partnership between the FMPSD, Composite High School, and the Bridge. But this is going to be community changing, not just school changing, district changing, and community changing.
Yeah, that's really important.
It is. Because
let's face it, these amazing artists, the young musical artists, are in every single school in the community.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is actually our first recording. I'm going to be doing a recording there with my own equipment in the next coming weeks for a student at Westwood who wants to record a First Nations version of "O Canada."
Very cool.
So I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Come on, we'll make a video and we'll sing it, and it's gonna be fantastic.
So as you begin to transition from vice principal to principal, and I know that there's a lot of physical changes happening at Composite High School, what can we expect in the next year from Comp? Will this construction ever be finished?
That's a good question. Yeah, you know what? We're seeing leaps and bounds. We're seeing the end in sight. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Every day I come in and see new things done. Our new offices are ready. The front doors are almost ready to open, which is amazing. So we will see the construction. Hopefully by the end of this summer, it'll look like a complete school with just a few small things to put together. So coming from Composite High School, you can expect a lot of things. We have, in partnership with the district, of course, Peak, which is our performance academies, coming through with hockey and basketball will be located here, which is fantastic. We have an electrical agreement or electrical partnership with Keanu College to have more trades coming through the school. Of course, the recording arts will be growing here as well. We have a brand new foods room. Just in the next couple of years, you can see Comp continue to grow. Can you grow on that momentum of that positive energy we're putting out there as the kids come through and kind of fighting that preconceived notion that is eons old and then unmerited, but still in the community, continue moving towards that and moving a more positive environment for these kids. It's a great environment now, mostly a positive perception in the community. The school itself is going to stay as amazing as it always has been. So we need to kind of make sure, can you see how great we are? I mean,
it's going to look fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to look amazing. Yeah. The looks are only a smart part of it. We need to make sure that the community sees, oh, hey, man,
Yeah.
Composite High School is fantastic. They have academics, they have arts, they have sports. They are our downtown high school that is not just our downtown high school. They are excelling. And they're doing amazing things. And that's what we're going to continue to kind of put out there.
I think anybody that's listening that knows you has a question on their mind, so I may as well just ask it. How in the name of do you do it all? Like, because you're everywhere all at the same time. How do you do it all?
I have a twin that we don't talk about. No. It's a valid question. It's got to be passion. You got to love what you do. And I get often asked the question, how are you everywhere? Can you do this? I said, well, the thing that you miss is that my hobby is also my job, which is an interesting thing. If you played golf, or if you played soccer, or if you play video games on Friday night to relax, well, that would be relaxing. The problem people fail to see is that when I'm standing on stage playing my music, that is me. That is my Zen moment. That is my kind of where I find my relaxation time. And the same thing, I'm really passionate about kids. I tell you this, and this sounds somewhat cliche, find something you're good at or find something you love and then trick them into paying you for it. If that's what my life is. It's like, okay, they don't know I love what I do. They don't know that I'm doing this because I really want to, and they could don't cut my wages. They could cut my wages. I would still do it. Listen, well, Mr. Nichols, don't do that. Okay.
Well, with that thought, that is a great quote. Do something you love and then trick them to pay you for it. I love it. Danny, thanks for all that you do. Thanks for all you do for my son who goes to school, and you've affected both of my sons.
Oh yeah, because Ben's going to Montreal now, right?
Dylan might be.
Yeah.
We're waiting on word of that, but you did a great job with Dylan up at Westwood High School, now with Ben here at Composite High School. So keep up the great work. We look forward to your new album coming up next fall.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. You've been listening to Danny Tulk. Danny is the vice principal, soon to be principal at Composite High School, also a very busy and in-demand musician here in the community. This has been Impact, a team effort of United Way, Fuse Social, YMM Magazine, Shaw TV, Fort McMurray, and big thanks to Trina and Matt for recording us here today. And none of this would be possible without our friends right here at 91.1 The Bridge.